Makes mistakes. Mistakes are common, but mistakes are a great learning opportunity. Today, I want to talk about having a light touch and not using a heavy hand. When you're dealing with the insides of a harmonica, you need to have a light touch. You're dealing with very precise, very delicate reeds that need to be carefully adjusted. And if you approach that with a heavy hand, you won't have success, and that discourages a lot of people. But having a light touch isn't necessarily a question of natural ability. Sometimes it's about making the right decisions and making the right choices. One of the questions I get asked is, if I'm trying to get a screw in and it just won't go, well, how can I use a light touch in that circumstance? Listen carefully. You hear that click? What I did is turned counterclockwise until the screw found the groove there, and then I advance into it. A new reed plate, when you try to screw it into this side, you'll need a lot of force because it's not tapped. It means that there's no thread created on the inside. What the manufacturer's relying on you to do is to take that screw and to push it in, and that screw will force its way and make a thread, sort of carve its own way. That's called a self-tapping screw. That's as opposed to using a real tap, which will actually cut the thread. So if you're having trouble getting that first screw in, well, one of your options is to roll back, take a tap, and advance a tap in there and cut a thread. But manufacturers, a lot of them, what they're doing, not all of them, but a lot of them, what they're doing is they're making this hole a little bit bigger than it needs to be, so that when you use a self-tapping screw, it sort of bends the metal and creates that groove for you. On other manufacturers, there's no clearance whatsoever, and you really gotta hammer, you really gotta push hard. And the danger of doing that is when you push so hard, you're bending this over. You're creating a little volcano. You know, it's sort of level, and then as the screw comes through, it makes a little mountain of brass, and that could bend the whole plate. You have this little curve there. So if you're putting in a screw, put a finger on the back here and apply some counter pressure and try to advance and keep going. If you're halfway through and you find you're stripping the tip of this screw, I would recommend take everything out, use a tap to create that thread. Ideally, you want to be able to advance that screw and just tighten with finger pressure. Finger pressure means you tighten until the screw doesn't go anymore, and you don't go any further. The stock comb has protrusions to help accommodate the reed plates. There's these protrusions in back that allow the reed plate to be held in place and not move. But if I were to make a comb with this sort of groove in back, there's no way I can make the tines flat. But once the harmonica is assembled, these parts don't really serve a purpose. So all that really does is make assembling the harmonica a little bit easier. With a light touch, it's not hard at all. This is the draw plate because the tips of the reeds all line up in the front, and the rivet pads, they don't line up. They're like a staircase going up. The reed pads all line up, and the tips don't line up. So I'm going to take the blow plate, I'm going to put it on the top, I'm going to take the draw plate and put it on the bottom. Now, if you think that putting the screws in this way is going to be easy, you're going to have some trouble because gravity will be pulling your plate down. So if you want to have success, flip it around and let gravity help you. So what we're going to do is see how we can line up these holes, and they get lined up just by the force of gravity. All you need is one screw to settle everything. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way to the end and then back it up just a tiny bit, just so that we can keep the plates on the comb but have a little bit of wiggle room. I'm going to put the other 2 screws in. Again, you find that groove. We'll loosen those screws a little bit, and we're going to push down on just the reed plates to like a deck of cards. We're going to even everything up, shore everything up. Now I like the way this is, with the reed plates just protruding a little bit they're even on either end. If you wanted them flush, I have a towel here, but you can get something a little bit more rigid. We have a piece of plastic, and I'm just going to push down on everything, and that's going to make everything line up flush. There's no more gap here. There's no more part of the reed plate sticking out. Oh, there is on this end. I went crooked. Let me push that in there. I gotta look with my own eyes. So my combs can either be completely level, they can have the reed plates sticking out a little bit like the stock comb does, or you can even have the tines pushing out if that's your preference. Some people told me that they like to have the tines sticking out because it helps them know where they are without looking. They could feel it on their lips. So my combs have enough room so that you can adjust them, and do find your preference and then adjust them. So now we're going to finger tighten the screws, and the comb is now on the reed plates are now on the comb. We're going to put the cover plates on now. A lot of people have been telling me they struggle with full-length cover plates. Full length are different than marine band or special 20 cover plates. These full length cover plates, they go the whole distance, and they're a little bit harder to adjust. So I'm going to show you a no-nonsense way. What we're concerned about is you put them on, they're not quite on straight, and as you jiggle and slide, you catch a reed and you destroy, your hours of hard work. So what we're going to do is use a light touch. What we're going to do is make sure that we see the groove in the reed plate and that we see the lip in the cover plate, and make sure those fit in. And once that's in, if you just keep a little bit of pressure on the cover, it won't fly off. Now, a great way to keep that pressure is put your hand flat down, lay the harmonica in your hand. Use gravity to help you, just like we used gravity to help line up the reed plates. Okay? So now I can take the top reed plate and do the same thing. Line it up into that groove. Now, I'm not using any fingers. I have all my other fingers here to hold things together, to do the work. So this is lying in my hand. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure to keep it together. I'm going to pinch with one finger here and one finger here. Now, the screws that these harmonicas usually have are Chicago type. So one end fits into the other. There's a male and a female end. So what we're going to do, what people usually do, is they usually start with the top, because the top is facing us, and then they try to wiggle the bottom one in. We're going to do the opposite. Okay? Take the female, take the mommy, put it in where it needs to go, on the back, on the bottom. Put your finger and cover that hole. Cover the screw so that screw doesn't come out of the hole. Now, it's secure in my hands. I'm just using 2 or 3 fingers to pinch and keep that screw in place. You can't really see it because the lighting is terrible, but I can see that everything's lined up, and I just need to take this screw and get it where it needs to go. Now I'm going to use my thumb like a pull cue, and I'm going to line up this screw using my thumb. Okay, and if it doesn't go in the first shot, you can take it out and put it back in, but you've positioned your thumb so that you're balancing the screwdriver on your thumb, and it's right up there. It's a miracle I can do this through the camera. I'm not even looking at it. I have to look at it with my own eyes to get it in. So again, we're going to tighten it and then release it, because you can see here this cover plate's a little bit too far. I want to do the mambo. I want to wiggle and jiggle it so that it's straight. So we'll do the same thing. You see how you can see through and through here? Pinch. So my fingers are right around those areas. Take the female. I'm sliding my finger up, so I'm holding that in place. You can see where that's supposed to go. And I can feel that it's not in place. I just went beside. No panic. Just readjust. Use your thumb if you need to guide it in. Almost tight. And we will adjust left to right, make sure everything is even. I'm happy with that. If I didn't have my thumb here to guide, I could slip off and make a nice big scratch. Same thing here, use my thumb. Tighten that. And there you go. You've installed your comb and your cover plates, and you've adjusted it to your liking using a light touch. No unhappy incidents or accidents. I hope that helps.